This is Algebra 1. We are on lesson 5-2, Intercepts. So all of this is Unit 5, which means we're talking about linear functions. X-Intercept. What do you think this is? It's where the function crosses. Anyone want to get their XP? And I forgot to hand out participation cards. But where do you think the function crosses? Do you remember this from last year? Go on, you and hand these out. Gunnar, go for it. Crosses where? I don't know. Andres, you want to take a guess? The x-axis, yeah. Thank you, Andres. The x-axis. So, Andres, you're turning in your participation card.
Oh, wait.
And, Andres, you can no longer participate until someone else, or until everyone else participates. And then the y-intercept. That's where the function crosses the Julian.
The y.
The y what? The y-axis, yeah, there it is. The y-axis. Thank you, Julian. Julian, you may turn in your participation card. You have participated today. Thank you very much. All right. Oh, yeah, and the monkey's not here. Thank you. All right, example 1. So there are 3 homework assignments tonight. One of them is looking at a graph. One of them is looking at an equation. One of them is really, really hard, looking at a table. And we'll have 2 examples on that one. But the first 2 are pretty straightforward. So determine the intercepts of this line. Where does it cross this y-axis? Where does it cross this x-axis? Well, I can clearly see it crosses there and there. I just need to know which one is which. Can someone tell me the coordinate pair, these 2 numbers, for the x-intercept? One of these is the x-intercept. Can someone give me that x-intercept? Sergio. -5, what? -5, 2, like that? Not quite, but you did have it half correct. Does someone want to correct Sergio? You can turn in your participation card, Sergio. Cohen? -5, 0. Thank you, Cohen. Turn in your participation card. Cohen, you get the 50 and the correcting answer. And Sergio, you get your attempt. Nice. All right, and then therefore, this is -5, 0. Let me just back up and make sure that everyone can follow that. This is -5, 0 because I went -5 in the x direction. Again, this is the x number, and this is the y number. How far up did I go? I didn't go up. I stayed on the x-axis. So if I didn't go up and down, I have a 0 coordinate for the y. Okay, the y-intercept. What are the 2 numbers that I put in for my y-intercept? Fernando. 0 and 2. That is correct. Yeah. So I don't go left and right. I don't go on the x-axis, but I go 2 in the y direction. I go 2 up. So that's correct. Thank you, Fernando. You can turn in your participation card. You can pass it over here, or you can walk it up. It's up to you. So there they are. Questions now before we move on to the next topic? No questions, no questions? All right. So here is the rule that will be used next year, the year after, the year after. You need to know this for the rest of your mathematical career. The x-intercept. That is where you have, well, let's set up a general form. It's something comma something. You will always, always, always have a 0 in this first or second spot. Quiet raised hand. You will always have a 0 here or here. Where does the 0 go for the x-intercept? And this will always be true. I'm looking for people that still have their card. Where is the x-intercept? Is the 0 always in the x-coordinate, or is it always in the y-coordinate? Where does the 0 go? To the left or to the right? And look up here. We did an x-intercept already. Eder. Right. It goes on the right. Yeah, for the y. And here's why this makes sense. The reason that this makes sense is because we care about the x-intercept. We don't care about the y. The y is always 0. We need some number here. This box, go ahead and write the box in your notes. This box is the thing that we care about. Do a little star. That's the thing we care about. That matches up with the x position of this coordinate pair, which is the x-intercept. We don't care about the y, so that's always going to be 0. So let me come back here. The other thing that I want to say here is y equals 0. It's the same thing as saying that this y-coordinate is 0. This is probably more important than the coordinate pair, y equals 0, because it will be used to solve down here for example 2. To find the x-intercept, make sure that your y is 0. Make sure that this coordinate is 0. Okay, well, let's do the same thing down here. For the y-intercept, I have something comma something. There's always going to be a 0. Where does that 0 go? Quiet raised hand. There's always going to be a 0. Where does that 0 go? Josie.
X.
For the x, exactly. Thank you. You can turn in your participation card. Did I miss someone too? I got Fernando last. Who was the one that did? It was Eder. All right. Thank you. So Eder and Josie. Come on. There he goes. And therefore, the box that we're looking for, the thing that we really care about is the y. All right, what do I write over here? If this was y equals 0, what do I write over here? This should be something equals 0. And let me scroll down so you can see. If this was y equals 0, what should I be writing down here in the notes? Someone that has their card still. Gunnar, go for it. X equals 0, exactly. X equals 0. This coordinate right here is x. That is 0. Gunnar, you can turn in your card. Thank you very much. So those are super key. Y equals 0, x equals 0. And those are the numbers we really care about because that's the y coordinate. All right, so we're going to be using these facts right here to solve for example 2. We need to find the x-intercept and y-intercept given an equation. This is the equation of a line. It tells us that right now. It's not that important, but I need to solve by plugging in one or the other. So to find the x-intercept, what do I set equal to 0? Quiet raised hand. To find x-intercept, what equals 0? The y or the x? I'll ask it third time. To find the x-intercept, what do I set to 0? What do I substitute in? Someone that still has their card. I need everyone to participate. I think there's only 1 or 2 of us left, so there's 3 of us. No, sorry, we have to get everyone to participate. To find the x-intercept, this line right here, what is equal to 0? Go for it, Jennifer.
Y.
Yes, you need to set y equals 0. And let's go ahead and write that down again. That means we're saying y is equal to 0. It's kind of like the opposite. If I'm trying to find the x, I know what the y is. Thank you, Jennifer. What is going on here? Jennifer, are you not on here? No, there you are. So when I set y equals 0, that means that this variable is 0. So let's go ahead and rewrite this equation. This is now 4x plus 1 is equal to, I just rewrote the left-hand side, 4x plus 1 is equal to negative 2, still have to write that, negative 2, but in the place of y, I'm going to substitute, Jennifer told us, 0 for y. This y is now a 0, so it's going to be negative 2 times 0, and then I have to rewrite the rest of this expression, plus 6. And then I'm going to solve for x. So when I solve for x, I'm going to say, okay, negative 2 times 0, everyone shout that out. Negative 2 times 0 is? 0 plus 6 is?
6.
Okay, so I'm going to write that. 6 is equal to 4x plus 1. For xp, or for your participation point, what do I need to do to both sides to solve for x? What's my next step, Jose? Minus 1 on both sides, so minus 1. Should change the colors here. Minus 1, minus 1. Now I'm going to have to come back up here to the top right because I'm running out of room. I now have 4x is equal to 5. Thank you. Jose, you can turn in your card. And finally, what's my last step? Participation point, XP. What is my last step? I think there's only one person left now. By 4, exactly, yeah. So divide both sides by 4, and I get x by itself because those 4's cancel each other out. Those 1's cancel each other out. And my answer is just 5 over 4. Just leave it as a fraction, that's fine. 5 over 4. That's only half of the answer, though. Half of the answer. X is equal to 5/4. So 5/4, does that go on the left or the right? And now everyone can participate because everyone has already got their participation points in, participation cards in. Jessica, there you are. 5/4, does that go on the left or the right? Julian? The left, yes, that's the x coordinate. And we solved for the x. Therefore, so 5/4 goes there. So Julian, thank you for your participation. I need to alphabetize this by first name, otherwise I'm not going to find you. Thank you. What goes in the y coordinate? Cohen?
0.
0, because we said from the very beginning that y was 0. We could have done that from the very first step. Y was equal to 0. All right, let's do the next one. The y-intercept. Y-intercept means what is 0? Julian again. The x. The x is 0. So if I'm looking at the y-intercept, I do the opposite. I find the x and set that equal to 0. That is from the notes right up here. To find the y-intercept, I set x equal to 0. I'm looking for the y-intercept, so I set x is equal to 0. Let me come back here. So if I set x equals 0, I'm going to rewrite this whole expression, but in the place of x, I'm going to substitute a 0. Here we go. It's now going to be 4 times 0, and I'm going to rewrite the rest of this equation now. Plus 1 is equal to negative 2 times y, and let me scroll it down so people can see, is equal to negative 2 times y plus 6. And I only have one line to solve this, so let's try to condense it as much as we can. Let's do some mental math out loud. And I think I forgot to do some, I think Julian needs another one of these. 4 times 0 is?
0.
Plus 1.
1.
1. So I have 1 is equal to negative 2y plus 6. This left-hand expression simplifies to 1. What am I going to do to both sides of this equation? Andres?
Minus 6 on both sides.
Minus 6 on both sides. Minus 6, minus 6. Thank you, Andres. And then I'm left on the left-hand side, I have a negative 5, and I have equal to negative 2y. Next step is to do what? Fernando? Yes, so divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. And Fernando, what's my answer for y?
Y equals
Negative 5 over 2?
negative 5 over 2 and negative 2.
So negative 5 over negative 2 like that? Which simplifies to what? A negative divided by a negative is a? Positive. So it's just a positive 5 over 2. All right, thank you, Fernando. And then my final participation for this problem, what do I put for the x and the y? What do I actually put for my answer? Sergio? 5 over 2 and 0? Like that? Ooh, see if you can find your own mistake.
No, he's good. No.
Or you can call on someone, it's up to you. Okay.
0, it's the opposite way.
You have to switch these two because x is 0. So these two switch. Let's come back here. So it's 0 and 5 over 2. Yeah. Thank you. So you still get your XP for the attempt. And Fernando, correct. Fernando, the student error. Nice. There's my answer. All right. So those I consider to be level 1 or level 2 out of 5 questions. Example 3 is a level 5 out of 5. So let's turn over to the backside. Let's try solving the x and y coordinate from a table. All right. What's my definition of x-intercept again? X-intercept is where what equals 0. And I need at least 5 hands. Well, okay, there's the 5 hands. Josie. Y what? Yes, y equals 0. The x-intercept, by definition, is where y is equal to 0. That should be memorized for the rest of your mathematical career. So you need this in your mind for many, many years to come. So thank you, Josie. Start memorizing it. Y equals to 0. Let's look at this y column. I have negative 9, I have negative 6, I have negative 3. 0 is going to be somewhere down here. I don't know exactly where it's going to be, but let's look at the pattern here. So negative 9 to get to negative 6, what am I doing? How much is being added to get from negative 9 to negative 6? I only see 2 hands. 3, 4 hands. How much do I add to negative 9 to get to negative 6? Jose? Yes, I'm adding 3. And then you can see again, to get from negative 6 to negative 3, I'm also adding 3. Thank you, Jose. So if I'm adding 3 each time, then if I add 3 again right here, just following with the same rule, plus 3, I should get to 0. I should get to this y equals 0. My x-intercept, I know that I'm going to have y equals 0, which means that this second coordinate is going to be 0. I'll fill that in right away. This second coordinate is 0. That's my y. Y is equal to 0. It came from this definition right here. Okay, now that I found this rule on the left, I need to find a rule on the right. What am I doing on the right each time? And I can find this number right here. What is the rule on the left? Andres?
You're adding 2.
Adding 2 each time, adding 2 each time, adding 2 each time. Exactly. So by adding 2 each time, Sergio, what number should I have right here? 7. There it is. Andres, Sergio, you guys get your XP? So my x-intercept, I've solved for that. It's 7, 0. It's right here. This is my x-intercept. So I'm going to say 7, 0. All right. The next one is going to be a little bit tricky. So in order to find my y-intercept, what's my definition again? Easy XP. What's my definition of the y-intercept? Oh, I love how many hands there were. Jennifer, go for it. Yes, x equals 0. Thank you, Jennifer. That means I need this column to have a 0. That means right here, I need to somehow get to a 0. There's a problem. Here's the problem. My problem is I'm jumping by 2 each time. I can jump backwards. I can say maybe my rule is going backwards minus 2, backwards minus 2. But if I go backwards minus 2 again, I skip over 0 and I go to -1. Does everyone see that? Can you nod your heads if you see that? And if you don't nod your head, I'll just assume that you're not quite seeing it yet. So if I subtract 2 from -1, I skip over 0 and I go all the way to -1. Uh-oh, I skipped it. But that's okay, because I can actually treat this as one solid rule. So for every 2 that I go 3. So you can say, instead of saying going down 2 and down 3, I can say go down 1 and go down 1.5. I can divide the left and the right rule by 2. I can divide both sides by however much I want, as long as they're equal. That's the power of a line. If it was a curve or something, we couldn't do this. This rule used to be +2. I changed it to +1. This rule used to be +3, but I divided both sides by 2, so it's now +1.5. Now I have this power to go backwards. Now I can go backwards by -1 and backwards by -1.5. So if I go backwards -1, I get to 0, which is the definition that Jennifer gave us. Jennifer said x equals 0, x equals 0. But here's the cool thing. I can now go backwards right here by -1.5, because it's half of 3, and I get what answer? What is my actual y-intercept? I have 0, comma, what? If I start at -9 and I go backwards 1.5, what is my answer? I see 3 hands, 4 hands. Andres?
7.5.
7.5, like that?
Yeah.
I see hands. I think the hands means that we might have got it incorrect, so see if you can find your error.
Okay, never mind. It's -10.5.
It is -10.5. Good job on finding your own error. That is the answer, -10.5. This step right here, that is a level 5 out of 5. That is the hardest question I will ever ask you about x and y intercepts. That is the hardest question right there. So if you don't understand it yet, that's okay. We're going to be doing one more practice example, and then we're going to be moving on to Khan Academy where you can practice even more. So the answer here is -10.5. So Andres, you get your 50 XP, and you get your finding your own error. Good job. All right, let's try another one. Example 4. All right, I need to find my x and y intercepts. So the x-intercept and y-intercept, what are the 2 definitions? Raise your hand if you know both of these definitions off the top of your head. Boom, what are they? Cohen.
X-intercept is y equals 0, and y-intercept is x equals 0.
So what can we fill in automatically in here?
The x and y points.
Yeah, so this is the y, this is the x. We already have 0 and 0 there. We're halfway there. Oh, so easy. I did the easy half for you guys. You can do the rest. Just kidding. Okay, so when I go back here, let's try to find the x-intercept. That means that my y column, this column right here, I need to find a 0. Well, I can see that 0 is going to be somewhere above the 1. It goes 1, 3, 5. So 0 is going to be somewhere right here. Again, we have the same problem that we had last time. This rule that we had was going up by what? What is my rule over here? I went up and up by a constant amount, Fernando. Plus 2 each time, plus 2 each time. And Fernando, help me again. What was the rule on the left?
Plus 5.
Plus 5, plus 5. Thank you, Fernando. Every time you solve one of these tables, you need to find the rule. So now I need to go backwards, but I also need to go backwards by half of this rule. I can't go backwards by minus 2. I can only go backwards minus 1 to get to this value of 0. That's the value I'm trying to get to. So I'm going to divide the left and the right rule by 1. I'm going to say minus 1. If I minus 1 over here, what's my rule on the left? Oh man, Sergio already has it. I need at least 4 hands. If I say minus 1, because I'm going backwards now, what is my rule on the left-hand side? It's also going to be minus something else. Minus what? I see 2 hands. I need to see more hands. More people are still processing this. They're still thinking about it. We'll give them time to think. It used to be adding 5 and adding 2. Now I'm switching it to minus 1. I'm dividing this right-hand side by 2. I need to divide the left-hand side also by 2. So it's minus what on the left-hand side? I still only see 2 hands. 3 hands. I need 1 more hand before I call on someone. You guys got this. There they are. Sergio, go for it. Minus 2.5. There it is. I divided this rule by 2, and since I'm going backwards, I'm now saying minus 2.5. So if I do that, if I subtract 2.5 from this negative 15, what is my x-intercept? What is this value here for 0? 0 corresponds with what value? I only see 2 hands. I'm going to wait for 5 hands. I need 5 hands before I call on someone. What value goes here? What's negative 15 minus 2.5? And if you need to do that on the scratch paper, that's fine. Negative 15 minus 2.5. Okay, add the opposite. Negative 15 plus negative 2.5. And you get, I see 4 hands. I need, oh, there's 5 hands. I'll give it to Jose. 17.5. Like that? Negative. Ah, you already caught your error. Good job. Yes, Jose. There it is. All right, so let's do the Y-intercept. Y-intercept. That's where x equals 0. So this column, x is equal to 0. Oh, but this is an easy one because look at this. The rule was plus 5. If I plus 5 again, I get to 0. I'm already there. I don't even need to do anything. I just follow the rule again on the right-hand side, and then I can get my Y-intercept. So I'm going to let you do that work right now. I need 7 hands. 7 hands to tell me the full answer for the Y-intercept. 7 hands. What is the Y-intercept? Talk to people around you if you are not getting this. 1, 2, 3, 4 hands, 5 hands. I need 2 more hands. So we're at 6. 1 more hand. All right, Eder, go for it. No? Were you not ready? Okay, hold on. We still have 6 hands. I need 7 hands. 7 hands that are ready to answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 1 more hand. 1 more hand. 7. There it is. Jennifer, go for it.
7? No, she's
7? Just kidding. Julian, we'll give it to you. 0x and 7. She got it right. Why are you guys giving her? Okay. Yes, you plus 2, you get 7. Jennifer, I'm going to give you the 50 XP. And I'm going to give Julian his 50 XP. You both got it. There it is. Those tables are hard, and I know that. So we're going to be practicing those today. Are there any questions before you begin on your summary right now? Any questions? Yeah, Gunnar, you have a question? Okay, just random hand. Okay, go ahead and write your summaries now.